Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the Grendhill Chronicles Podcast. This is a podcast following a fantasy fiction story based in a country called Grendhill, and about the creative process behind said story. I'll read you a segment of the story as it currently exists, and then we'll have a discussion about that segment or about the story in general. Today's co-host is my cousin, Sam Bishop. My name is Don Bishop, author of the Grendhill Chronicles and your host on this podcast. I have very slowly been working on the Grendhill story for almost a decade now. While navigating my day job and having 3 children along the way, I have been making progress here and there. I hope to make large strides in the coming months. A few years ago, I decided to post it online, section by section, as a way to help myself feel a little more pressure to continue the story, with limited success. By the way, you can read the story online for free. Just go to thorn.link, that's thorn.link. While you're there reading, be sure to visit my social media links. You can follow me on Twitter at Grendhill Chron, on Instagram at Grendhill Chronicles. You can like me on Facebook, and you can subscribe on patreon.com/GrendhillChron. Anyway, the point is that this is a work in progress. Details of the story may change, and I think that's exciting, and I'm glad that you're here for the ride. But that's enough about that. You're here for fantasy, so without further ado, this is the Grendhill Chronicles, Book 1, Threat. Let the Farella line guard Grendhill and her people for all time. While the Farella seed grows at the crown of this land, every weapon raised against her shall know its own frailty, and peace shall reign here. Let the Farella seed's might be a thorn in the side of all who would oppress. Thalrin Aguneg. Prologue. Grendhill was a prosperous land, home to beautiful hills and congenial people. It enjoyed relative peace for generations at a stretch, with only a few minor internal perturbations punctuating the passage of the centuries. Domire Farella and Misolfa Tormi were born into this heritage. Domire was born Crown Prince of Grendhill, and Misolfa as the daughter of a farmer. Misolfa had loved Domire ever since she was old enough to say the word love, and they grew up the best of friends. They came of age and married while still in their youth. Life was good, and they were happy together. The first significant wrench in their lives, then, was that they found themselves unable to conceive a child for several years. They anxiously looked forward to bringing fresh little people into the world and teaching them the way of life in Grendhill, to help them live happily and thrive, but Domire and Misolfa could only wait and hope for that opportunity. Meanwhile, they had time on their hands to learn the ruling craft from Domire's father. As time rolled on, when Domire completed 30 turns of age, his father gave him the throne, the seat of Grendhill, and retired. To their great joy, King Domire and Queen Misolfa found themselves expecting a child not long after. As the queen's belly expanded, soon enough they realized they were expecting more than one child. When the children decided it was time to arrive, there were 5 little quintuplets. Before following with the Farella's present account, one must realize that as Grendhill prospered, it must also have been protected. After all, where there is a prosperous people, there are envious people who would take it all from them if possible. Grendhill sat near important trade routes and had rich natural resources. Furthermore, it was the home of the Thalin, the stone-like platform that functioned as the gateway to travel and trade with people in other worlds. The Thalin was the only means and the only point in all Tasala to travel off-world. Grendhill, then, was protected from greedy outsiders by an ancient fortune of power placed upon the Farella household at Grendhill's founding. Grendhill was formed by the unification of 3 towns that lay near the Thalin, Gran Farella having shown himself a hero and saved them all on 3 separate occasions. The sage woman Thalrin Aguneg pronounced at Gren's coronation that the children born to the ruling king and queen of the Farella line would be born prepared to follow Gren's legacy and protect the land. According to legend, Thalrin Aguneg lost the sage's gift that day and died shortly after. Since that time, for hundreds of years, When the princes and princesses of Grendhill were born, a weapon immediately took shape in their hands out of the air. Attendants always immediately snatched the weapons away, and a trusted friend was charged with hiding a weapon away on another world until its owner was old enough to wield it, its location secret to all except the king and queen and a few other trusted close friends. Throughout these generations, more than 100 such weapons had appeared, been hidden, reclaimed, carried throughout life, and, upon death, passed on to the royal guard of Grendhill. The original masters, those of the royal family, were the most skilled with these weapons, but in the hands of others they were still sharp, never rusting, never denting, and feared in combat. The royal arms were well documented and tracked. A few were missing, carried off by one dissident prince who thought Gren's seat should have been his, and a few of his followers, who were never heard of again. As a natural consequence of Grendhill's history, though others might envy its tranquility and prosperity, they did not dare attempt to challenge it. Returning to the account of Farella and Domire, who we can now disclose was a swordsman by birth. 5 wonderful, healthy children greeted them that day. Domire's lifelong friend, Solmi, stood in the corner, ready to carry the newest royal arms to a secret location on another world, hiding them from even their rightful owners until these had grown old enough to handle them. As the newborn children opened their eyes to the world for the first time and found a weapon in their hands, they were named, and a sageman, Riedel, informed the parents of his perceptions of them. Domire came first, a boy wielding a sword, inclined to become noble and wise. Valkyr followed, a girl holding a longbow and a quiver of arrows, determined to become swift and precise. Tido was third, a boy with an axe, destined to become strong and confident. Misolfa, the penultimate, a girl with a hammer, would become good-hearted and unstoppable. Aton, the final tiny child born that day, was a boy. He kicked, looked around the room, and started to cry. He was not holding any weapon. Alright, that's all we're going to read today. If you're dying to listen to more of the story, you can either wait for the next episode of the podcast, or you can jump on the website thorn.link and read ahead. That's www.thorn.link. The background music for today's narration was Winter Song by Alexander Nakarada, downloaded from www.serpentsoundstudios.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. You can get more information at http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0. Today's discussion is a conversation between my cousin Sam Bishop and me, recorded on March 20th of this year. But before we continue on to today's discussion segment, here is a word from our sponsor, who, I would like to add, is my sister. Are you stuck at home, bored, hiding from the coronavirus? Do all those reruns of Kitchen Nightmares and Hoarders have you feeling sick to your stomach? Well, you can find something that will put your mind at ease by catching Julianne, aka Werecat, streaming most weekdays at either 8 a.m. to noon Central or from 8 p.m. Central to late on twitch.tv/Werecat. Come show some love as she fights her way up the ranks of the worldwide gaming phenomenon League of Legends with her unique happy-go-lucky attitude. You can even jump in on the chat and give her your hot takes as the action unfolds. Not in a chatty mood? Feel free to kick back and relax as her bubbly commentary provides a fun backdrop against some of the coolest video game action on the web. Want to be kept up to date on all things Werecat related? That's easy. Just follow the link on her page and crawl on in to her Discord server called The Cat Cave. Share memes, jokes, stories, and voice chat with some of the coolest cats around. In addition to League of Legends, she may also be playing Jackbox games, stream marble racing, Battle Block Theater, and many more. Do you have a request for a game she should play? Be sure to leave your recommendations in the chat, and you may see one of your favorite games being featured in the future. Come on by to twitch.tv/werecat. That's twitch.tv/WHERECAT. We look forward to seeing you there. All right, Sam.
Yeah.
I am trying to prepare for, I guess, this launch that we were talking about yesterday. Okay. People need to be able to send emails. So I set that up. If you send an email to don@thorn.link, I'll get it, and I'll be able to reply, and you'll get a reply from don@thorn.link. And now because I was talking about how this project should have its own social media presence. Like on Facebook, it has its own page. And so I'm creating its own Twitter account. And I'm wondering what name to put on the account. And my buddy says that I should do something witty. And I'm like, well, I can be witty on my own account. But I want to have, like, this is the Twitter account for the Grendhill project. And I want it to have a name that makes sense and is easy, not stuffy, and you can take seriously.
Okay.
So, I don't know. What do you think?
That's fine. But it probably won't even matter what the name is. I mean, you'd probably be able to think of something better than I could.
So, I mean, we could go for the obvious options, like Grendhill Chronicles or Grendhill Fantasy Novel. But that sounds stuffy, you see? Grendhill Fantasy Novel is direct, it's clear, it's obvious, but it's stuffy.
Okay.
Chronicles maybe sounds presumptuous, but maybe I just need to not be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it occurred to me that I could name it after the royal family, the Farellas, but that's obscure. Maybe after the principal character, Aton, but that's too specific for a broad project. I could call it the Grendhill Project.
Chronicles of Grendhill sounds good.
Say again? Chronicles?
Yeah, I did the Chronicles of Grendhill personally.
Okay. But then that, I feel like that almost carries a commitment to title the books likewise. So I don't know, maybe the series would be the Grendhill Chronicles or the Chronicles of Grendhill, but maybe that's not a bad thing. And I was thinking what other stories out there exist. So there's the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, great fantasy series. I don't know if you've read it. So Archives is something that people have used. There's Chronicles. I googled Thesaurus Chronicles, just to get some other synonym. Maybe Chronicle is the word. I mean, it was used for Narnia too, wasn't it? It was one of those books.
The Chronicles
of Narnia. Yeah, of course. Hello. So, some synonyms. Diary, journal, register, report, version, narration, recital, record, account. I kind of like that one. The Grendhill account. Maybe not. Narrative. Bulletin. Yeah, there we go. Explanation. The Grendhill explanation. The rundown. The whole picture. The yearbook. Grendhill's almanac. Registry. Annal. Memorial. Are you still stuck on Chronicles?
Well, that sounds best to me.
I kind of want to... I feel like it's good and solid, but I kind of want to be... I want to have my own flavor of original with it too, but maybe I just need to let it go. And Grendhill Chronicles? Maybe the Grendhill Chronicles would be good for the actual title, but for the Twitter name, where I'm talking about what's going on, the Grendhill Project. What else?
I don't know if I can help you much there. You're going to have to be the one to think of what you would like. The best I can think of is Chronicles.
Yeah. Chronicles of Narnia is the first, if you type the Chronicles of Narnia is the first one up with a lot of results. Then there's Riddick, The Ghostly Tribe, Spiderwick Chronicles, Archives, let's see, National Archives. Okay, I'll put it to a vote on Facebook, and I'll make a survey for all of my reader. Yeah, if you ever listen to Car Talk on NPR, those guys joke about they're going to lose all of their listener. They leave it singular because they like to joke about how they don't have an audience. So I'll create a survey, and we'll probably wind up going with Chronicles. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. How do I make a survey? I'll let you go.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Talk to you later. And there it is. I'm calling the franchise the Grendhill Chronicles, or the series, and on my social media presence, the Grendhill Chronicles. I was nervous about it being kind of cliche, because it's been used before, but it's been used before for a good reason. It conveys the message, and it is what it is. Now, especially since I have I mentioned series, I said the word series. I do have it in my mind to make this more than just one book. And, I was calling the first book Grendhill Threat. If you're that person who's been on my website, actually I don't know if there's even been one person, but if you have been on the website, you might have noticed that I changed from where it said Grendhill Threat. Anyway, so the first book I'm just calling Threat. It's within the Grendhill series, the Grendhill Chronicles, Book 1, Threat. And yeah, that's what I'm using across social media. If you look me up, it's usually shortened. So Twitter, it's Grendhill Chron instead of Chronicles. And on Facebook, it's Grendhill Chron. On Patreon, it's Grendhill Chron if you want to, buy me a grilled cheese. On Instagram, it's Grendhill Chronicles. On Twitch, it's Grendhill Chron. I don't know if I'm going to keep going on Twitch. I don't get viewers there. I think I'm going to try streaming on YouTube one of these days. But, yeah, if you do visit the website, I hope to overhaul it soon. Whereas currently, if you go to thorn.link, it'll redirect you to thorn.link/Grendhill, because that's the only thing going on that website currently is this story. But I do have a few short stories, and there are a couple of other things. I have it diagrammed out, and so I'm thinking to add a splash page. When you go to thorn.link, then the main thing there is going to be, go on in and read the story at thorn.link/Grendhill. But yeah, a little bit of a facelift, and it'll be fun. So, in closing, watch for us hopefully next week. By the time you're listening to this, I should have the second episode ready to go, so that I'm not scrambling and missing sleep the night before to get it published. I'm going to try to publish these on Fridays, and so watch for us next week. You can read the book if you want. Give me a shout out. And on YouTube, I'm sorry, I don't have a customized URL. Hopefully we'll get one one day, but for now, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and yeah, fun and games. So, I'm going to edit this heavily. Yeah, tell your friends about it, and share it around so that word gets out, and maybe I can sell ads in the next one. Haha, maybe one day.